Ellie, who'll be taking us through the lesson for today. The call is being recorded, and currently your camera and mics are disabled. When we get to the questions and answers at the end, we're going to enable it as you raise your hand to take questions. So please let's listen. Let's take notes of our questions. We can also put it in the Q&A or in the chat window as we go along, and we ensure that we address everything before we finish today. So with that said, I'll hand you over to our very own Ellie, Global President of Textilers. Thank you.
Oh, I'm blushing. Thank you, my co-founder of Textilers. Good morning, everyone, and I'm super excited to have MJ here, co-founder as well. It's so good to see everyone. So while my slide is coming up, I like to say Happy Salah to all our Muslim brothers and sisters. I hope you guys enjoyed the Salah meets yesterday, and I hope you're going to share the e-meets on the platforms at your various groups. All right. Thank you, everyone. So, this morning we'll be looking at emotional intelligence and customer centric. And I'm sure all through for the past couple of weeks now, this is a third class. You remember that the first class we had what's it called? We had problem solving and eyes for details. And the second class, we had communication and networking. So, and you'd agree with me that this class is actually like spot on for your different courts. I recall one or two of your mentors saying, oh, this is actually, this resonates with what is being discussed in class. So today, again, we'll be looking at how you can improve on your emotional intelligence and how you can be customer centric. And this cuts across both personal and professional life. Um, and the reason why we've looked at these soft skills to say they're very important. Again, I'm going to say we want everyone to be a complete tech person and not just technically um sound, and in your soft skills you have nothing to deliver. There's so much you can do. If you don't have the soft skills, you just realize that there's a bar that you can only attain in your career. If you don't have the soft skills, at some point you are not going to be hands-on, you're going to be supervising. And if you don't have all these soft skills, there's no way you would be able to supervise your team. So it's better to start learning them, at this stage. So permit me to take off my camera so that we can have this conversation and there's no distraction. All right. So just like I said earlier, you know, um, again, the buzzword emotional intelligence, what exactly, some people just like, maybe a lot of people or everyone on this call probably familiar with it, but then again we would look at the key areas and some aspect of emotional intelligence that can help us improve where we are, with our emotions and our intelligence when it comes to various aspects of our life. So we'll be unlocking that self-awareness, that power of empathy that we have in us as either team members or team leads, or even on the C-suite level, or even as an entrepreneur, as a matter of fact, wherever situations that we are. So just like I said, again, we've all heard about emotional intelligence. We probably, have used the word several times, countlessly, um, in our day-to-day activities and all of that. But I mean, we'll break it down today to say what exactly is emotional intelligence, and its ability for you to be able to recognize. You can see that the keywords there are like highlighted. You can recognize, understand, manage, and influence your emotions, and not just your own emotions, the emotions of others as well. You can recognize people and understand why they are behaving in a certain way. You are able to say, okay, I empathize with this person. I know why this person is behaving like this. I can understand what this person is going through. Okay, I know how to manage this particular member of my project team. We have to deliver this project at the end of this month? How do I ensure that we work together as a team? And how can I influence this person? How can I influence my emotion as well? How can I put it under check? So the key areas we'll be looking at today that I've highlighted here are: one, the self-awareness; number two, self-regulation; we look at motivation, and we look at empathy; and finally, social skills. Now, when we talk about self-awareness, we're going to look at this, in details, but I just want to give you an overview of what these key areas that we'll be looking at, so that when we talk about it, would understand, we'll have a better understanding. Now, what exactly are we saying when we say self-awareness, right? Sometimes we do some things, and we make some decisions because, again, we allow our emotions to rule us at some point. And of course, the excuse we always give is, "Oh, I'm only human," but you should try as much as possible to build that self-awareness, right? So that you are able to recognize your moods. Most times we say, "Oh, I have a mood swing, it's my mood, I mean, this time of my month, so my hormones are misbehaving and all of that." But you should be able to recognize that and know the impact on yourself and also on others. Don't just say it's all about you. Others have to be part of your daily life as well. That's the only way you can, have an impact, a positive impact on people. Now, when we talk about self-regulation, we are talking about how to manage that emotions, that mood swings. You understand? How do you manage it effectively? And most times people find it very difficult to manage those emotions, especially when they are under pressure. You see, that's why most times when you're being interviewed for a job, most employers will ask you, how how well do you work under pressure? And I'm not sure, most of us must have said, "Oh yeah, I'm very good. I work very well under pressure." But you'll be amazed that when the stress is there, some of us may not be able to control that emotion, right? Now, again, in motivation, you should be able to always have something that motivates you, something that you're looking at the end, to say, "Look, this is the end result, so I need to work hard towards that end." I need to be able to put things together and achieve what I need to achieve, because I know the end goal is huge, or I know the end goal is positive, as a case may be. And when we talk about empathy, we're saying, oh, maybe one of, like, let's take this court for instance. A lot of you are already in your various project groups, right? And you probably have started your project, and maybe someone that is very critical to that project happens to not be available at one of your meetings, and you just feel, why would this person do this? And maybe you couldn't even reach the person, and you're not even considering what that particular person is going through at that time, but you're just so, you're just so upset. You're not able to control your emotions, right? And you just feel, look, you know what, that's it, we're taking this person out of this group, we are going to bring in another person, or I'm going to escalate this to the founders or to the leaders of textilers. I'm not doing this again, and all of that. So we should always remember that we need to have empathy for people, because you don't even know what they're going through, right? Understand, put yourself in their shoes as a, okay, what if, remember the five whys I talked about when we're talking about problem solving, right? You should put that cap on to say, what if, something has happened to this person? And of course, the social skill is very, very important. That's when we talk about, building very strong relationship. Recall that I said that at the end of this project, for, people that would excel and do excellently well, we're looking at areas where we can get investors that look at your project and say, "You know what, this is good. How can we invest? How can we help? How can we support?" and all of that. So if you don't have that strong relationship with your team members, how do you want to work together and become, founders of your projects that you'll be, showcasing at the end of this cohort? So what are the importance of emotional intelligence? Why emotional intelligence? Like I said earlier, you need it for both personal and your professional life. Again, you need to improve your relationship. Remember when we were talking about networking, and I told you that networking is not just about grabbing from people. You grab and you also give, right? It's a give and take process. And how can you do that if you don't have emotional intelligence? How can you improve on your relationship with that person that you added or you invited on your LinkedIn? How can you communicate with that person? And I'm so excited right now. I just remember that after the last session that we had, communication and networking, I talked to you guys about how to um connect with people on LinkedIn, how to start up with some conversation, and write short um notes, right, to invite the person. And guess what? I got a couple of short notes, right, on LinkedIn, and I was really, really impressed. The notes were like more like love letters to just appreciate me, and tell me how much they would love to connect with me and all of that. And I was very happy because it shows me that people listened and they were ready to run with that. And I'm sure those people that reached out to me are connected with me also did to other people as well. So this is also how they've been able to improve their emotional intelligence, right? And again, the reason why emotional intelligence is very critical is because it helps to enhance conflict. We talked about problem solving and a bit of conflict in problem solving, right? And if there's no way, even in communication, we talked about it, right? About problem solving. When I said that when you're in a group, there's no way there won't be conflicts, right? So in your project group right now, you should be ready to embrace conflict when it comes and know how to manage it. We talked about communication. Now, with emotional intelligence, you're able to enhance any conflict that comes up in during the project, at work, in your businesses, wherever you are. You'll be able to manage that conflict effectively, right? And of course, it helps with your mental health, mental well-being as well, because if you're a happy person, if you're positive, everything around you, it attracts that positive energy to you. And how does this link up to professional life? Improves your leadership skills, because you remember I talked about empathy at some point as one of the key areas of emotional intelligence. So if you have empathy for your team members, of course everybody would want to come to you. You attract more people to you. And I can tell you for free, all my team members everywhere I'd worked, I mean, I'm not a perfect person, but to an extent they love me, they still reach out to me. My mentees are like, oh, Ellie, what can I do for you? Ellie, I'm like, oh, these guys are so loving, just because I've been able to put myself in that position to over the years improve on my emotional intelligence and have empathy. I mean, it wasn't like I got it from the first day, but I was able to improve over time, and I'm happy where I am, and I know it's going to get better. So it's very important to have that in your professional life as well. And again, just like I said, improves teams work and collaboration. You would realize that by the time you have high emotional intelligence, right, people are drawn to you. Before you even say you need help here, you see it like 1,001 people saying, oh, you can do this for you. Oh, Ellie, what do you think? Let's add this together. You just see that positivity, and everybody's ready to work. Everybody's ready to jump on it to support, even if it doesn't have anything to do with their tax at that moment, right? And you see a lot of synergy and collaboration. People are like, oh, you know what? This person is not available. I can fit in to do this person's job. Oh, I'm ready to do this. Oh, let's collaborate. Let's do this together, right? And finally, when you're making decisions, your mind, again, remember I said earlier, it gives you a clear mind. So your mind is clear. You can make decisions, you can solve problems, because you already have the key aspects that I mentioned. You already have self-awareness, you already have self-regulation, you have motivation, you have empathy, and you have social skills as well. So, having said that, we now look at self-awareness, as one of the key areas of emotional intelligence. Here I highlighted what self-awareness is. It's an ability to recognize. Remember, I said it when I was giving the summary. Your ability to recognize and understand your own emotions. Because if you don't understand your own emotions, there's no way you would even have empathy for other people, right? So it's the ability for you to understand your own emotions. What are your strengths and your weaknesses, right? What are you good at? What are your values? What do you want people to know you for? What motivates you? What makes you want to go to work the next day? What makes you want to continue that your business? What makes you want to um be part of this project and make sure that this project works, right? Not because the investors are there, or maybe you likely be the first, or on the project, but just because you want to learn more, or because you want to increase your knowledge in cybersecurity, or your knowledge in power apps, or your knowledge in Copilot. Something has to motivate you, right? And I also said here that it also affects your thoughts and your behavior. So when you see someone that has high emotional intelligence, there's a way they comport themselves and they are outside, and people are like kind of drawn to them. And that's when you see some people are like, this person just has this aura. When this person comes in, everybody's just happy, everybody's just excited. People just want to draw close to this person. And because the person has over time trained his or herself to have, emotional intelligence. So, what are the benefits that we're looking at here? Like I said, number one, you know, it helps you to manage your emotions. If you don't manage your emotions well, people would, if you have negativity, it will attract negative energy. So it also helps you to have self-confidence, because you walk into anywhere and you have that confidence. You see people drawn to you, and people just look at you. You have that aura around you, right? You speak anywhere and people just want to listen, right? It just makes you feel good, right? And it also reduces stress and anxiety. I mean, the world as a whole is stressful right now, and adding more stress is not even going to help. So why don't you want to improve your self-awareness, improve your emotional intelligence, and just be relaxed, do things, be more careful with how you do things and how you treat people, right? And make sure and it also helps that no, you don't have any anxiety, you're not afraid of anything because you already have everything in check, right? So again, it also improves your decision making. We talked about that earlier, right? You don't make some impulsive decisions. When I see people and they say, "Oh, I'm an impulsive shopper," and I'm like, "Really? This person doesn't have emotional intelligence." Because if you have emotional intelligence, you don't go to a store and you just shop, you know, by impulse, even if you are a trillionaire in whatever highest currency you can ever imagine. You don't do that if you have emotional intelligence. You have, because you're put together, you're you're more like a process person. So you're going to the store. If it's a physical store or even if it's online, you have a list of what you want to buy. You know what you want to buy. You know you're buying your needs, not your wants, right? You see that most people that have emotional intelligence need focus. I need this. Not like I want this. You don't want everything if you have emotional intelligence, right? Now, it also enhances empathy. Remember the example I gave. If you have empathy for people, if you have people would it will improve your relationship, because people are drawn to you because they know that you understand what they're going through, either positive or negative. They know that when they're struggling, you're there to like help them and encourage them to do better, right? And it also reduces defensiveness. And what do I mean? You recall that I think it was last week, or no, it was the first session we had, problem solving. I mentioned that I'm one person that is I love feedback. I love feedback so much. I do training, or I talk to people, or I do whatever it is I do. I love feedback. I ask for feedback because I also want to improve. I mean, no one is perfect. So with if you have if you've trained yourself to have high emotional intelligence, you would always be drawn to having feedbacks, right? And when you have that feedback, you go to improve on the feedback. And again, people that don't have emotional intelligence realize that if you give them feedback, they take it badly. They just take the feedback, and before you know it, they probably are not talking to you again, or they just push you aside. They don't even want to have anything to do with you because it can't imagine why you feel they need to improve in certain areas, right? Now, and finally, in looking at self-awareness, again, here we say that it supports personal and professional growth. I've been able to give you examples of how, self-awareness will increase your personal relationship with people, and even also in your career, because you're able to identify areas that you need to improve on, areas that you lack certain skills, certain personalities that you need to improve on. Now we'll quickly look at self-regulation, and this is how you can put your emotions in check. Everybody gets upset, everybody gets happy, everybody, don't think about others before you throw tantrums. Think about others before you share so much happiness. Like, oh, think about what people are going through before you say some things. There's some people that they just feel, again, let me use this instance. Maybe again, I'm speaking from as a cybersecurity expert. You find out that some people have their life journey, their life history on social media. I mean, I look at some stories and I'm like, really? I can tell who this person is from beginning to end, even when I look at that person, not from a cybersecurity angle, as just an ordinary person that doesn't even know anything about tech. You can actually tell some people's life history. You know how their living room, their bedroom, their bathroom, everywhere looks like, because they have everything um right there, so they don't have their emotions regulated. And again, you should self-regulation also looks at how you are able to have constructive conversation with people. You're able to have an healthy environment with people. When you come in, people look at you and they're that they continue their conversation. There's some people that when they come into a circle, everybody just keeps quiet. They don't even want to continue the conversation, right? And that just shows that there's something about you that you need to improve on. When people are not happy to come to your office, you don't have an open door policy, people are not happy to relate with you. When you are in a project group, people are like, you know what, I want to opt out if this person is here, right? So what are the key areas that we'll be looking at in self-regulation? We'll look at impulse control. I talked about that, right? You don't just make decisions out of your emotions. You don't get upset because someone didn't show up at a meeting. You don't even know what's going on or what the person is going through, right? You don't just allow your emotions to control. You have to put it under check. Another aspect is stress management. I talked about stress, right? We all go through stress. Everybody goes through pressure, but how do you manage that pressure? How do you take the lemon and turn it to lemonade? How do you make sure that that pressure does not impact you or impact people around you? And when you go through that stress, how quickly can you recover from it? How do you say to yourself, this is just a season, this is just temporary, I'm going to come out of it. The end is going to be better than the beginning. That's you being matured and being able to manage, your emotions and having self-regulation. Now, adaptability is another area where you're flexible. When things change, you find out that some people, when their maybe style of living changes, they just or standard of living rather changes, they just go depressed, and the next means you're hearing, oh, depression. If you recall, during COVID, a lot of people are like, oh, wow, I'm depressed, I can't go out, just because everyone was locked in, and they're probably extrovert, they like to go out, they like to meet people, and it made a lot of people that couldn't manage their emotions got into depression, right? So you should be adaptable, you should be able to manage your emotion, manage, you should be flexible about changes. If they say, you know what, you're no more in project management, we're taking you to product management, you should look at the positivity in that. Okay, what am I going to learn? How can I take my skills as a project manager, put it into my new role, right? And you have to have emotional balance. You have to keep your emotions in check. I've said this like 1,000 times. You have to know when to um um bust out and when to hold on, right? You have to know when to say no, when to say yes. Don't just act on emotions and not think, when I mean think deeply, right? Meditate on it before you speak. A lot of people just speak out of their emotions. They don't think about the impact on people. And you know what they say with words? Once it comes out, it's like egg, fresh egg. It bursts, and you can't put them together. And the words are always there forever. Words have been spoken to people that have shaped their life either positively or negatively. You can imagine if you have someone that is always telling you, oh, you're beautiful, you're very handsome, and deep down maybe you have some form of maybe disability that doesn't even make you look, you don't have confidence in yourself, but because you hear it all the time, you start carrying yourself in that aura that, yes, I'm pretty, I don't care what people say, I'm very beautiful, because you hear it all the time. So you need to ensure that you keep that in shape. Now, the final one is the delayed gratification, where you say, you know what, I'm not going to, because LA upset me now, I'm just going to hold my 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 peace, right? And be focused on this project. At the end of the project, then we can take it up, but the focus is this project. Remember when last week I was talking about something that has to do with delayed gratification as well, to say that don't be carried away by the situation right now. Don't make decision regarding that. Just say, you know what, this is temporary. The focus is where we're going to. The focus is delivering a good project, right? So what are the benefits here? Again, it helps you to be calm, right? It helps you to be resilient when there's stress. It also leads to what? Better decision making. When you're making decision, your mind is clear. You have empathy. Your emotions are in check. So you can actually make decisions that would favor everyone and will help the organization. And of course, it gives you that emotional stability. So we'll go to motivation. I've talked about motivation too. What are your goals? What are you looking at the end of 2025? This is what I want to do, this is where I want to be. If you have that goal, then you will start working towards it. A lot of you, some of you are changing from a non-tech role to a tech role right now, and that's why you're here for this training. That's your goal, and you're probably saying, at the end of this year, I want to be a tech expert, I want to be an expert in this particular field, in particular role, a particular domain, right? So that's what motivation does, and the benefit of that is just helps you to be productive, right? You're able to improve your financial life, your emotional life, your think about it, all, even your health as well, because you maybe you're probably right now a medical doctor, and you say, you know what, I'm tired of all the night calls, let me just do something tech, and you're probably enjoying it. That has kind of helped your emotions as well, and even your health. So it also helps you to overcome procrastination, because if you have a goal and you're motivated, you don't procrastinate. The tendency for you to procrastinate is limited, because there's a reason why you're doing it, right? And you don't doubt yourself, because you can see the end of it, you can see the goal, you can see the result at the end, because you already have it somewhere in your brain, or you have it somewhere pasted in your room to say, this is what I want to do at the end of this year, or in the next 5 years, or in the next 3 years, right? And finally, inspires and also influence others. When you're motivated, people will look at them like, wow, I want to be like that person. Wow, I also want to be, I want to have, I want to be like Foyin. Oh, yes, I want to be like, Ahmed, or I want to be like Austin. So we quickly look at empathy. When we look at empathy, we're looking at understanding others, trying to know the reason why they're doing what they're doing, trying to put yourself in their shoes to say the feelings. Why is this person acting like this? Does this person have double personality? Does this person, what's this person going through? So there's something called cognitive empathy where you understand someone else's perspective. Oh, Ellie is doing that. Oh, she didn't greet me because she probably, oh, she's not wearing her glasses. She can't see, she's short-sighted. She can't see afar without glasses. You are able to understand why you were waving and I didn't answer, or I didn't even respond, maybe because I didn't see you, right? And there's another thing that is called effective empathy, and that's where you share people's emotion. You understand it. You can resonate with what they're going through. You're probably like, oh, I've been there, I know, yeah. The first time I wrote my IGCSE, or the first time I wrote my SAT or something, that was what I went through. Or the first time I go into tech, trust me, I had this boss that was breathing down my throat. You can empathize with that person, right? And the benefits here, of course, it also strengthens your personal and professional relationship. It makes you a all-rounder, you know, almost perfect person. Of course, you know that there's no one that is perfect. And it also reduces mistakes. You don't have conflicts because everyone is happy with you. They know you're this kind of person that you can manage your emotions. So they can bring things to you, and they know that you take feedback very positive. You take feedback positively, and you also encourage people. You understand what they're going through. Then of course, you have a better team to work with. You can collaborate with people because they're happy with where you are. And almost everyone that I've seen that have high emotional intelligence are good listeners. They listen, they talk less, they listen more, because they want to, and they think they're deep thinkers, because they want to um they process the whatever you say in their head, and it might take them a while to respond. They'll process it, and by the time they respond, it's just that word you want to listen to. I'm sure you've come across some people are like, how come you always have solution to everything? How come, because they've been able to train themselves to have good emotional intelligence. And of course, with those kind of people, you can build trust in them. You can say, MJ, you know what, this is what I'm going through. I really don't understand this co-pilot. How can you help me? Because I know MJ is not going to go to everybody on the textilers what's this called, group, to say, guess what, LA doesn't even know what co-pilot is. You understand? I can trust her to say, please help me. I can trust her to say, I'm struggling in this area, right? And that would even build a stronger connection. And she probably was like, oh really, okay, I'm going to teach you this, but you know what, you have to teach me jobs in cybersecurity, or you have to teach me SOC management in cybersecurity, right? And of course, it makes you an empathetic leader, someone that people would like to work with. So what's the social skills about emotional intelligence? It's just, again, um helps you to interact effectively, and also help you to manage your team. You can harmonize things with others. You can manage situations, both personal and even professional, right? The benefits here, again, interpersonal relationship. It's not only about you, it's about you and the other people, or the other person, right? You are able to improve on what relationship you have with others. And again, this goes down to what I spoke about yesterday, last week, about networking. If you don't have interpersonal relationship, even when you have all those if you have 10,000 followers and you can't manage them, you just have them as followers, if you post anything, no, not you don't even get one person to repost or to like, then you don't have good interpersonal, relationship. Again, teamwork, improves, makes you a better leader, and there's mutual respect because if you have emotional intelligence, people will respect you. They want to listen to you. They want to do things for you, because they know that you respect them. There are some bosses that you have that do not respect their colleagues, their team members. And you've noticed that when that kind of a person gives assignment. I know someone mentioned something sometimes last week, like, oh, when I give this um team member assignments, team members assignments that sometimes they don't do it, I end up doing it. And sometimes I just like have to do it so that we can get the job done. You find out that if you start working on your emotional intelligence, people will just want to do it because they just feel, oh, this person has a way of showing respect. Let's just do it for the sake of this person, even when the environment is not good. You see, some people stay back in an organization because of their bosses, because of their team lead, even though there is a toxic environment. You just say, look, boss, it's because of you I'm still here. I don't like the culture of this organization. And it also reduces misunderstanding. You find out that there will be less conflicts in the team or even in your personal life amongst your friends, right? There's less conflicts amongst them and increases emotional resilience. And also you have social confidence. You go to places, you want to talk at conference. Just sometimes a couple of days ago I saw MJ, one of our co-founders, at the Microsoft event, and you could see her right there in front of, like, I'm sure almost 1,000, white people. Like, count the number of black people there, but you could see the confidence in her in the picture. And I'm like, that's it, because she's been able to build herself to have a stronger emotional intelligence. Now, so how do you develop all of these early with everything that you're saying? I put up the four core components that you can use. Awareness. You need to be able to you need to be aware of your own emotions and check yourself. When do I get upset? Take a deep breath and say, look, you know what? No, don't burst out. Take a deep breath early. Think before you speak. Just take it in. No matter how upset you are, you need to be able to manage your emotions, because it's even good for you, your mental health. You need to be able to say, I'm not going to get upset. Oh, I'm too excited, I need to calm down. This is not where to bust it. When I get into my room, I lock the door and scream, I got this. Yeah. So you need to be able to know how to manage that. And of course, again, I talked about the social awareness, where you understand other people's emotion. You don't just push things on people's faces. As much as you want to let everybody know what's going on, doesn't mean I have to know, the meal you have every day is all over social media, your the color of your, or rather the design in your sitting room, the design in your bedroom. You know what I mean? So just make sure that you're conscious of what the other people, the emotions of other people. And of course, again, it builds a stronger relationship. So we'll go quickly to customer centric. We said we're going to talk about customer centric as part of today's soft skill training or session. Again, no matter what you're doing, you have a customer. Even if you say, I'm not an employer, I'm not an entrepreneur, I don't have a customer. If you're in tech or whatever department you are, you remember that you're servicing other people. So in tech, people need maybe the salespeople come to you and say, oh, our customers are looking at us having a particular product on bouquet of products that we have, and we think that this would increase our revenue. So we want you to build a solution for us. That the salespeople that are requesting for these are your customers. So when I talk about customer centric, just look at it from whatever you aspect you are right now, whether as a tech person, a team lead, or an employer or an entrepreneur. Just when we take this, just look at it from that angle. So customer centric simply means that you're focused on your customer, you know, I breathe, I wake up, I eat my customer. As in, my customer is my number one. You know how they say it's customers are always right. My customer is my focus. If they're not there, I don't get my revenue. If they're not there, I do not have a business, right? You need to understand the customer's needs, right? You need to be able to profile the customer. Thank God for AI. AI will help you profile the customer. Just like I said, on social media, you see people and you can tell, even if you're not a tech person, the lifestyle of that person, right? Even before AI came to like limelight like this, I've always been very big when it comes to customer profiling, because I believe that that's where you can even get your revenue. So you profile your customer, you can use AI, you can, if you don't have the tool, you can do it manually, more like profile your customer, know what your customer needs, know your preference of your customer. If you have a customer that every July to August, every July to September, early September, they're always traveling, and you are a travel agent company, or you are an insurance company, you can start building an insurance for traveling, to say, I know this customer, you know likes to travel. So why don't we just build a product that will be specific for this customer? Or you also look at it, I'm like, oh, we sell other products, or we sell travel insurance. Why don't we sell to this particular customer, because this customer is always traveling? By the time you push that notification to the customer will be wondering, the customer will feel loved and say, oh, this person actually is intentional about me, and understands my journey, right? Always make sure that your mindset is my customer first. My customer first. I need to make my customer happy, right? And that would give you a long-lasting relationship with your customer. Always listen to your customer. Talk to your customer. Tell them to get back to you. Are you okay? How was the product? Did you enjoy it? And that's why you see that most apps that you use, right? Um, if you want to, especially the financial apps, banking app, by the time you want to do another transaction, or you want to do a particular transaction, you realize that you can't even do it, because you need to click update. There's a push notification that comes to you that you should update, right? Because they've listened to the customer. They probably did customer survey, and they've been able to get feedback from customer to say, you know what, this user experience on this app is kind of cumbersome. Can we remove some of the requirements that are there? And when you update that particular app, you realize that is looking different, a bit different. If you're very attentive, if you have eyes for details, remember we talked about eyes for details, you realize that it's different. So that's basically what customer centric is all about. Now, why do I have to be loyal to my customer? I have 1,000 customer early, and the revenue is giving me $1 billion per month. So why do I have to be, attentive to my customer? See, customer loyalty is the foundation of any business. If you want your business to be sustainable, you have to have loyal customers, because trust me, the business can crumble in a second with only one customer. And that's why you find out that people that chief brand officers or chief brand managers in organizations are like on top of their job, because if anything happens, right, the customer, you can lose the entire business for saying, oh, God forbid, oh, textilers did XYZ, and is on social media. That's the end, right? So customer loyalty is very key, no matter what. And there's no small or big customer. The customer that gives you 20% of your business can destroy 80% of your business. That's the 20/80 rule, right? So you have to be very intentional with your customers. And loyal customers do not only just come back and say, oh, I'm buying business with you, I'm loyal, I'll always come. If I want to buy my laptop, it's always, if I want to buy a particular solution, I'll always come to you. No, they are more like your brand ambassador. I think it was yesterday, I was scrolling on I was in a meeting, and I was kind of getting bored. So I was just scrolling on Instagram, and I saw a lady, she was talking about a particular foundation powder. She said she just randomly bought the foundation, and when she ordered for two, that was the first time she just saw the person on Instagram, and the person sent a gift. The seller sent a gift, right? Complimentary gift to her, and she was like, "Oh, really?" And she used it, and you could see, she said she's her face looked so smooth. She was looking really beautiful on the page. And she said, that she's never had this conversation with the seller. She doesn't even know the seller. And but when she sees good things, she can identify, and she's ready to talk about it. And this is not a paid advert, nothing, but she just loves the end product of the foundation that she bought. That's a foundation powder for the guys that are here. In case you're wondering what foundation is, that's a foundation makeup powder that women use, right? So she's been able to be your brand ambassador without even you paying. And that's why I always tell people, why do you even sometimes, I mean, with all due respect to brand ambassadors, right? Sometimes if you have a very good product, right? And all you just need is one loyal customer that can identify your products. You honestly don't need a brand ambassador that will be paying millions of dollars to help you push your products. And I tell you why. You can imagine what that woman did. She caught my attention. And you can imagine if I had reposted it, how many people's attention, she's also going to attract. And before you know it, that particular powder product or foundation product will be all over, right? She practically prayed for that woman that she's going to go global. The seller is going to go global. That's how passionate and how much she loved the product. So customer loyalty is very key. She's been able to hold that woman, and you can imagine that woman is going to buy that product, I'm sure, for the rest of her life, or until she finds another um powder that is a lot better than that one that she's using. So they loyal customers practically act as your indirect brand ambassador, or rather, no, not indirect, direct unpaid direct brand ambassador. That's the word, right? So again, I've put four keywords here. In reason why you should be customer centric is because it increases your customer retention. The word of mouth marketing, what that woman did, that example I gave, right? And you also reduce your acquisition cost. You can imagine if that lady, the seller, was looking for how to use maybe Aisha as a brand ambassador, and Aisha's charge is like, look, for a week, I'm charging you $100,000 to just do, that $100,000 is something she can put back into her business because she got the loyalty of somebody. And of course, that would increase our revenue and our income. So, what are the key elements of exceptional um, um, service? Number one, it helps you solve problems. So when your customer identify an issue, they quickly, if you take feedback very well, it helps you increase the experience of the customer. And of course, there's this there's this loyalty you build with your customer, and it can help you also exceed your customer's expectation, because by the time you listen to them and you do what they had complained about, they would always want to come back. Now, personalization in customer service, always think like you are the customer. You know, if you are the seller, for instance, you are the one producing that product, you want to build an app, put yourself as the customer, as a person, that the user of that app. Don't put yourself as the one building that app. And that's the issue we have, developers. We just want to develop the app. We don't put ourselves as, I am using the app. I'm the one using the app. How would I feel about this? Will I be happy to go through this um rigorous um process to be able to buy a product on this app, right? So again, data is the breath of life, not even gold anymore. So make sure that your customer data is something you can analyze that would help you improve, your customer retainership. Then you have to be able to communicate with your customer. Don't become a nuisance, to your customer, but be on their face, push notification, adverts, and all of that to them, so that even when they are thinking of, oh, where can I get a developer that can help me, or where can I get a web developer that can help me build a website, because you've done a business, or you've delivered a product for that particular customer, and yet there's a constant communication, the customer would always remember to pick you, right? And you need to make sure that your solution that you're giving to your customer suits the customer. Don't just push any solution to the customer. Let it be solution that they need. And that's why profiling customer is very, very important. And of course, have loyalty programs where you can say, buy one, get one free, buy one, get one half price, just to encourage the customer. Now, building a customer centric culture. Everybody in the organization should be customer centric. It's not just the customer service. I'm sure you've been to some organizations where, even from the driver or the security person is so customer centric. They treat you like a king, and you're wondering, wow, this is the place to be. This is where I want to work. But you get to some organizations, and the way they treat you, just like, what? What's going on here? Someone you probably go to meet the people at the reception, and you say, "Oh, please, I'd like to meet with, I have an issue, I have a complaint. I'm not in charge. You have to wait for the person." There's no empathy. They're not saying, "Oh, really, we're so sorry. Oh, this is not, something must have gone wrong. We're not this kind of person. We're going to make sure this is done. Do you want tea or coffee?" They make you feel like a king. And you're wondering, there's this joke that one guy I also saw it online, that one guy went to the bank and he was, so upset in Nigeria. He was so very upset that, look, what's going on? I'm going to close my account. I'm very upset. How can you guys make me wait forever? So the branch manager came down. She saw from the CCTV, she saw the customer. So she came down, asked the customer to come up. Sorry, sir. This period is, I think it was a festive period. We're so sorry. How can I attend to you and everything? And I said, would you like tea or coffee? The guy asked for whatever it was. Maybe it's wine. I can't remember. The guy even asked for food. And the branch manager gave the guy the food and everything. And he said, please don't close your account. We're so sorry. How much do you want to withdraw? And the guy said, okay, I have 1,000 naira in my account. I want to withdraw 500 naira. You can imagine. Meanwhile, the guy had eaten, God knows, maybe thousands of nairas of food. And just shows that that bank is, has customer centric. It is culture, and everybody from even the branch manager could identify, not looking at how the guy looks, the customer looks, but ready to make the customer happy, right? Now, how do you handle customer complaints? Every complaint is to help you improve your business. Don't look at complaint as in, what's wrong with Ellie? She's always complaining, nothing satisfies her. No, it's to help you get better. It's to help you increase your revenue. It's to help you, increase the customer experience and even help you bring in more customers and increase your revenue as well. So having said that, I'd like to say a big thank you, question and answer. Sorry we started late, but I hope you've been able to pick one or two things from today's soft skill on emotional intelligence and customer centric. Thank you.
Thank
Is
you
anyone?
so much.
I thought I was
Thank
speaking to
you so
myself.
much, sis. No, 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 definitely not. We enjoyed every bit of it.
Um,
So
we are so
wonderful.
soaked in. My eyes is open. My eyes
Thank
is
you.
wide open.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Ellie. It's
Thank
so
you.
uh,
unfortunate. I don't have the live reaction on my mobile phone. I mean, I was just throwing you a lot of flowers virtually, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sis.
Thank you. I think
Thank you
someone's
so
hand is up. Someone's
Okay, all
hand
right.
is up.
I'll get that now. Let me just stop the recording. Thank you so much again, everyone, for joining us today. I would quickly turn off the recording and then we can take the questions. All right.